Good afternoon, everyone. This is the doctor. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. I can tell you it's a beautiful 65 degrees out here in the Pacific Northwest, and we are having a wonderful Saturday right now. I hope you guys are ready to look into some stats. This video is going to primarily focus on the equipment training quest and what you should be leveling in terms of gear, what's going to be practical for you, and what maybe a free-to-play player should chase versus what maybe a whale should chase, whether you should save up right now, what you should be going for. It's going to be covering all of that. So let's go ahead and jump in here and take a look at the gear that we have. So the first gear recommendation I'm going to give you guys is going to be to level the Mithril armor. Now, the reason I'm going to tell you guys to level the Mithril armor is because you actually do not need to awaken it to +5 to get the maximum viability out of this equipment. So what you guys see here is my actual Mithril armor, my Mithril dodge armor that I made for my Sir O. It has evasion +18, HP +302, defense +5. It's completely viable for free-to-play players, and it's very wonderful to invest in. I think this is probably the easiest investment to make in this event, since you're able to farm the secret books of refinement armor from multi. And if you're someone who is struggling or maybe can only get 175 books across the entire event, or you have to set up maybe special farm groups to go ahead and get these, this is definitely going to be the armor to invest in for you if you have a character that can equip armor like this. I think this is going to be the cheapest at the biggest bang for your buck in terms of upgrading and in terms of defense and resistances. You are going to need a total of 10 Sorrowful Hearts, 90 Raging Hearts, 175 books of Secret Refinement, and 1 Void Crest. The Mithril Armor recipe is farmable from 4 to 2, and so are the Sorrowful Hearts and the Raging Hearts. The Void Crest does only come from the equipment training stage, so if you are in your mind thinking this is going to be something that you want to maybe make in the future, make sure you're grabbing that friend unit and farming this stage to get that Void Crest so that you can grow this in the future. Again, this is probably my #1 first thing I upgraded for myself personally, and I think it's probably going to be the most useful, particularly to free-to-play players if you're running a heavy armor unit. Now, my second gear recommendation is actually also a heavy armor, and it's going to be the Iron Plate +5. Now, the reason I'm going to recommend the Iron Plate +5, and I'm going to specifically recommend the shield version, not the vital version, is because you get strike attack resistance +6, you get defense 15, HP 307, and that agility is going to be -3, but honestly, I think that agility -3 might actually help you in terms of any type of PvP situation where you might actually be prompted to move second after maybe an enemy Orlandu has moved. So instead of the Orlandu actually hitting you from a range, he's actually going to wait another turn, which could be the difference between victory and death. To upgrade a +5 Iron Plate, you are going to need 63 Iron Plate recipes, which are farmable from mission 122. You are going to need the Sorrowful Heart. You're going to need 740 of them. It's going to be from mission 118. And you're going to need 345 secret books of refinement. Now, keep in mind, you do have a couple more weeks to farm this. And for me, this is what I'm currently working on right now. I've spent the last couple days farming in multi, and I'm working towards my second piece of gear from this event, which will be my Iron Plate +5. And I do know that there's other events coming down the pipeline that are going to give the Secret Book of Refinements a little bit easier. There's going to be a level 60 event coming out soon where you'll be able to probably auto a lot easier if you're free to play. But for me, I'm doing these multis, I'm getting friend units in where I need to for the single players, and I'm just trying to get these books so that I can get that Iron Plate mail so that I can really gear up my PvP team. Because what I'm thinking about right now is I'm thinking about all of the Orlandos out there. And I'm thinking about all of those slash attacks that I'm going to be eating on my Mont and my Stern. And I'm thinking, that defense +15 is going to be critical. That slash attack resistance +6 is also going to be critical. It could be the difference between my Mont taking, 5 hits and 6 hits. It could be the difference between victory and death, particularly with my newly acquired Vow of Love. So I think if any of you guys out there are looking to maybe beef up your units just a little bit or make them harder to kill, right now this is going to be a great investment for you. And I think you will find uses for this armor all throughout your time playing War of the Visions. I think there's always going to be a time when you're facing a slash attack opponent. There's always going to be a time where you can pop this on. Maybe one unit has too much agility and you just want to slow them down a little bit. Maybe you're running tower in the future and you just need a variety of equipment for your characters. That's the type of stuff you need to think about. So in terms of the cost, this is one of the lower cost pieces of equipment to upgrade. And it is going to be one of the best ones I think you could upgrade next to Mithril armor. And just a real quick shout out to the Mithril armor does provide a nice defense plus 13 on the shield version, along with evasion plus 4 and no agility penalty. So if you are really suffering for acquiring secret books of refinement right now, you might just invest in a shield version of the Mithril armor without awakening it all the way. You won't have that slash attack resistance, but if you're free to play, if you don't have access to TMRs, it's going to be significantly cheaper, and you're going to be able to get that defense plus 13, which will be very nice for you. Now, let's talk about Sage's Hat and the Circlet, because there's a lot of debate about this right now, and I've heard a lot of people get really excited for their Circlet plus 5s, and that's been people in my Discord, that's been people in chat, and we're going to talk about right now why you should not be leveling up your Circlets currently, because the Circlet is essentially a trap piece of gear. Now, here's why I'm going to say that. So a Circlet plus 5 fully maxed out gives the same evasion as a Sage's Hat plus 3. And I know you're out there thinking right now, there's no way I'm going to get a Sage's Hat plus 3. It's so expensive. I'm free to play. I don't have the gil. And that might be true, but there is a Sage's Hat coming up in the future. And if you are free to play, you might just want to stock your armor books until then. And here's the math breakdown for why. So on the left side, you have the Sage's Hat plus 3, and on the right side, you have the Circlet plus 5. So you can see, in order to max awaken a Circlet plus 5, you actually need 735 Secret Book of Refinements. In order to max awaken a Sage's Hat plus 3, you only need 315 Secret Books of Refinement. The one thing that you're going to have to take into account, though, or a couple things, the Sage's Hat plus 3 is 18 million gil if you're buying all the recipes. It's half the effort of the Circlet plus 5. Ogre Bristles are not currently farmable for the Sage's Hat, but they can be stolen. The Sage's Hat can be improved even more, right? So you're not at that end game like the Circlet plus 5 where it can't be grown anymore. With the Sage's Hat, you can essentially grow it more whenever you need to. Essentially, go Sage's Hat or just use an NQ dodge Circlet, you guys, until you can go Sage's Hat. There's nothing wrong with using an NQ dodge Circlet, awakening it to full for whatever the amount of books is. I think it's probably around 75, and just using that until you can invest in the Sage's Hat. Don't fall for the trap. Don't fully awaken your Circlet plus 5. Just awaken the NQ version, get the dodge that you need, and then slowly work towards building a Sage's Hat. Some callouts here, there is a Sage's Hat event coming up in the near future, which is going to be an easier grind for the Sage's Hat crafting recipe, for Ogre Bristles, and for Secret Book of Refinements. Now, in terms of Velvety Fluid, this current event on the single player story mission is one of the best farming locations for Velvety Fluid right now. So you should be farming the Velvety Fluid and the Void Crysts right now if you can, because it's going to be very easy in the single player. The single player has a higher drop for the Velvety Fluids and all of the materials, and then the multiplayer has a higher drop for the Secret Books of Refinement. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you're taking a friend unit. My husband is free to play, and I do know that he farms this event with a friend unit, and farm that Velvety Fluid up. Try to get it up there because it's going to be something that's going to be foundational in a lot of recipes. So moral of the story, you should be looking at Sage's Hat, not so much at the Circlet right now. Now we're going to take a look at Smart Coat. Now Smart Coat is a recipe drop from this event, and it has two different versions. It has the Shield version, which is going to be Defense 9, Spirit 10, and it has the Barrier version, which is going to be Defense 4, Spirit 21. They both have HP 335, and in order to awaken both of these, you're going to need 1,125 Secret Books of Refinement. Now, looking at this, and when I look at what you get for this, this is not, in my mind, a good investment immediately. I'm looking at how fast, like I would consider myself a whale, and the amount of secret books of refinement armor that I'm gathering right now are so low compared to the events that are going to be coming in the future. This is not an investment I'm going to make in my account right now. This is something where I'm going to farm those smart coat recipes, make sure I have enough, and then in the future, when we have a very easily farmable secret book of refinement armor mission, I might look at building these. Some reason you might be looking at to build these right now would be if you have maybe a character that could only equip clothes, and you're like, well, I'm going to be able to have access to the Smart Coat +5 shield. I want them to take a hit. Personally, I think the shield version is better than the barrier version for general day-to-day events. But I think in the future, as we are definitely looking at things like the calculator job coming out and sort of a mage-oriented jobs, you are actually going to be wanting that Spirit +21 armor with that magic resistance attached to it. So I think it really depends on who you are. I would probably build both, because I know in Tower the Spirit resistance is going to be helpful because you're going to be up against multiple mages. So it's a tough call. Personally, I would invest in shield first, and then I would build the barrier because shield's going to be more relevant to our current state, but I could understand the case for building barrier. Honestly, in this event, I'm not going to be building these. I'm just going to be farming the recipes in order to hold on to them. Now let's talk about the Golden Helm +2, or +5, sorry. It is going to take 2,570 velvety fluids to upgrade, and it is going to take 1,125 secret books of refinement. Now, looking at the full stats of this, it gives missile attack resistance 8, defense 9, spirit 2, evasion 0, and HP 287. Now, there are people out there who are probably like, Doctor, you're absolutely fucking nuts. Why would you ever level a Golden Helm +5? Well, and I think they're partially right, but I also see a world in the future where if you are really interested in PvP, if PvP is something that you are trying to do hardcore, you're going to have different equipment sets in order to counter different metas. And there is a couple of PvP maps that are ranged focus, where you're going to see Frederica, you're going to see Lucia, and you're going to see Ryryu. And let me tell you, missile attack units are going to be with us for a long time. And Lucia is going to be coming in and setting a sort of a Lucia meta, I'm sure. So you are definitely going to be wanting to think about, if you are a hardcore player, you're going to want that missile attack resistance. Not only is that something to be thinking about, helmets, there are some units that can only equip helmets, and there are some units that have very poor defensive armor choices. And you might have an armor TMR that you're like, well, I would just put my armor TMR on them. Well, not everybody's going to be as capable of doing that as you might be. So having a helmet choice, whether it's a +3 Golden Helm or a +5 Golden Helm, is always going to be a good choice. Personally, I would invest in the shield version because I think you're always going to want to focus one stat, like defense, and then you could always put a TMR on that maybe adds some spirit as well. Or, you know, you could do something along those lines. So it's going to be kind of one of those weird pieces of gears. You're going to need to assess your comp. But I think this piece of gear is not fully useless. And I think if you're sleeping on this, it's something you should actively be thinking about. All right, you guys, this brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for listening to me and supporting me, you guys. It means so much. We are actively streaming every single night except Monday, so make sure you come and check us out. Come check out our Discord. We are friendly on there. We do give out nicknames. It's just a fun group. I love hearing from you guys, and I love getting supported by you guys. I can only do what I do because you guys support me. So thank you so much for letting me do what I love, and have a great rest of your day, you guys. Bye-bye.